Do we really want religious liberty in this country? Roloff says no. Frank says yes. Bob and I, we're going to listen. We also want to hear your voice at 244-0077. What do you think? Do we want it or not? Live here on The Truth.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 244-0077. That's 244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 4 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock, and we are live on the, I better time this show. I better date it, because we're going to talk about some political stuff that's going on with Ben Carson. 8th day of October in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy. I sure am glad you're here. Now, you may be saying to yourself, wait, hold on. Well, hold on. I tuned into 98.3 to hear Mark Levine or Dr. Savage, or Glenn Beck, or whoever they have in the middays, and I heard boom boom music. I heard music that I haven't heard for 20 years, and you didn't want to listen to that, so you push scan, and now all of a sudden Mac's voice comes on. The Mac that used to be on 98. Now, hold on, and you're freaked out. Well, welcome. You're a new listener, and I thank you for being here. This is a radio station that went on the air less than 90 days ago. We are a preaching, teaching, and social commentary station. What does that mean to you? It means we got some of the best preachers teaching the gospel from time to time. We've got some of the best national hosts on social commentary. What is social commentary? It's talk radio. It's conservative talk radio. Maybe I should just drop the social commentary and just call it conservative talk radio. Jesus is always in the middle. He's always at the top and on the bottom and all the way around it. But we're not always talking about Jesus himself. Like today, we're going to talk about religious liberties. And we're going to talk about Ben Carson. We're going to talk about some other stuff that's going on here in Des Moines. So welcome. If you just found this station, welcome. It's 99.3, The Truth. I am J. Michael McCoy. I do love my job, and I thank you for listening because I couldn't do it without you. Now, let me introduce you to my cast of characters. Ryan, who you won't hear from, is a handsome young man looking for a woman. No, that's not. I said that all wrong, didn't I, Chris? How should I say that nicer?
Women are looking for him.
Yes, that's it.
Frank nailed it.
He's my producer. Chris Roloff is that voice, and he's the station manager here. And the other voice that you heard for just a moment, it's a voice that we'll try to keep from your ears as often as we can. But Frank's kind of prophetic. No, I didn't mean prophetic. I meant, what did I mean? He's kind of prophetic. That's not what I meant. He's kind of pathetic. That's the term I want.
Yes, yeah.
Pathetic.
Yes.
Frank is one of my co-hosts, and then, of course, as he has been with me for so many years, my good friend and brother in Christ, Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat, a 35-year former DCI agent and a scientist and an expert on so many things, and yet he knows nothing about so many things.
Of course, I wasn't an agent, but...
Well, you were with the DCI.
Yeah.
But you were the lab.
Crime lab.
Yeah, not as in Labrador, just the lab.
Crime lab.
And Mac, what you exactly described in your opening of I have a friend who drives delivery in the metro area and delivers roof trusses.
Roof trusses.
Yes. And he
Is
was...
that something you put like cinnamon and sugar on and eat them?
that's what you put your roofing and shingles on top of. Roof.
Oh, I was thinking it was dog treats.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, anyway, he
Didn't he say rough trussels?
we were...
Or roof truffles?
Mr. Carlson could
Chocolate
bark real
truffles.
He had that experience of scanning and 98.3 come up with classic hip hop. And he said, what the heck? And so the next station he come on was 99.3.
Yeah.
And so now he's a listener of 99.3.
There you go.
And
It's
by the
happening
way,
all the time.
I think that's a God thing.
It is really It's astounding. It is amazing. I don't know. And it's a neat opportunity because we know that you who are the new listener, you're here because you want to know what's going on in the world. You care about the issues. You know that something's going on crazy in our country, and we hope that you're looking for answers. Maybe you'll find some as you listen to 99.3. We're folks that do radio, and we want to find the answers. We want to know the answer. That's why we talk about it, trying to figure it out. So you're always welcome to join the conversation with Mac and the team here. The number to call with any questions or comments, or just tell us to be quiet and change subjects.
Don't make me be quiet. I won't listen to you.
You won't be quiet if we do that?
If you tell me.
Oh, yeah.
No, actually, if the listener tells me to be quiet, I'll be quiet. But you?
You'll just get louder. So if they want to tell Mac to be quiet, if you want to tell Mac to be quiet, just call 515-244-0077. That's 0077.
And anybody's welcome to call that disagrees with me.
Well, I don't know that we have
enough phone lines for that.
That was such a setup. I thought the exact same thing. That was great.
Now, the other thing is, just so you know, that we call this Passionate Radio with Pictures. So should you go to our website, you'll also be able to see this show. It's not TV. We don't call it TV, although Ryan, who produces it, is a TV producer.
Yep.
We've got 3 cameras. We have multiple microphones. We have different backgrounds. We have green screen technology, which means we can put anything in back of us. So if you want to just have fun and go look at what it looks like, but we don't do anything. We don't do anything on the visual side that doesn't translate to the audio side. The radio is the most important. So it's just kind of fun. All right, so let's start out. And Frank, you said it perfectly. Ben Carson will not back down. And Bob, I think you said something. The left wing press. He's kind of being Trump. He just won't let him take him down. Yeah. But yet he does it so softly and so gently and like this.
I think people see Ben as not being smart enough to deal with the media or any of those tough questions. And yet he is. I mean, the man has a way of answering. He's very calm, collected, and he has his thoughts. Everything is in order. And so I'm pretty impressed with the way he is. Even though he's very low-key, he looks like, that he's not out there being very fiery like a Trump.
Right.
But the guy, he's very intelligent.
He is. I watched someone posted on Facebook the video of him on The View, that television show with all the ladies. He did a good job there. He's Whoopi, I think it was, who asked him, Whoopi, he said, you're so calm and you speak so calmly. And he said that he wasn't always. And it was the influence of the church and his faith that changed him. Mm-hmm. I found that to be really cool, that God got a hold of him and has calmed him down. And I'm sure he did get excited. It's not like he just sits there and, he's not an Eeyore personality. He still gets excited. He's still passionate. He's still bold, but he's not angry. He doesn't sound angry.
But
anyway.
Watch how when the media tries to attack him or ambush him, he just calmly turns and responds to him and says, and what did I say?
Yeah.
And they will say what they think he said, and then he will methodically proceed to tell him exactly what he really said.
Yeah, and
he's good at that.
He's good at that.
Yeah, he's good at that.
When did I see him on an interview? It wasn't The View, but it was another one where the journalist, and boy, this is something we learned to do. We learned to do this in college.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you that they've twisted it. What we learned to do is to reframe the question to get the answer we want.
Yeah.
Now they just plain lie. And they say, well, you said the other day that you're okay with abortion. No, that's not what I said.
Right.
I said that blank, blank, blank. But I don't remember what it was. But he's like, he scares me like you scare me, Frank, because he has a photographic memory. Frank has a photographic memory.
Yeah.
He's an old woman. He listens to. Oh, I shouldn't say that. He listens to what he eavesdrops.
Yes.
Eavesdrop.
Frank is always listening.
Listen.
And so is Ben.
You can't learn unless you listen, and you can't find out things unless you have some nose trouble.
Some nose trouble.
Nose trouble.
All right, 244-0077. That's 515-244-0077. Maybe you're not going to call today. Maybe this isn't a topic you have an opinion on. Well, do me a favor. Put that in your phone, would you?
Yeah.
Just put Max World or put 99.3, whatever you want to call it, Frank's radio station, whatever you want to call it, and just put 515-244 0077, because there may be a time that you want to reach and pick up the phone and yell at me or Frank or Bob or Chris or somebody, and you won't have the number, and I ignorantly haven't said it enough. So put it in your phone so you have that there. And it's your voice we always want to hear. It's you that brings spice to the program. You know, we are the steak. You are the sizzle. We're just talking about what's going on. It's your voice that comes in and lets us know if you agree or disagree and why you agree and disagree. And by the way, we don't need to be confrontational. I think if you listen to the show sometime, especially between Frank and I and Chris and I, you hear a little confrontation. Well, we're just having fun. It's because we work together.
Yeah, we like it.
I won't call you out. I won't treat you that way. I'll treat Frank bad, but I won't treat you bad. All right, so we have a phone call coming in, but it looks like our producer is still checking that out, and we'll hopefully do get a caller on the line here in just a minute.
Oh, I didn't mean to stop you from giving the phone number.
That's all right. Go ahead.
But you remember when we had Dr. Carson on the show?
Yeah, he was on here last Friday.
Yeah.
And I asked him a question. I don't know if you remember the question I asked. I only had a chance for one because he wasn't on very long.
Yeah.
But my question was, as a believer, which he professes, what difference would he make as compared to all the other presidents that have been president, whatever number we're up to in the 40s? What's the difference between a believer and I wouldn't say a non-believer,
sure, but
a believer that maybe doesn't practice their faith as much as he would?
Well, and there's people out there that tell you they don't believe. They don't think there's a God. They think that they came from a bucket of dust.
As a president?
Whip, boom.
A president?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm asking about the presidents that have served before.
Do you remember what he said?
Well, he said that, if you remember, did you hear what his? Well, you were producing. No, you weren't. You were here too.
Yeah, he was here.
He said that he would rule. First of all, he's a man of prayer.
Yeah.
And he even said that day he had prayed before coming on the show at least 3 times.
That's awesome.
And that, he would follow the lead of the Lord, basically, in what he would do in his decision making, which I think is good. But the question then, I didn't have a chance to follow up because, we were running out of time. But my question is, being that there are people that talk about end times, what if the Lord told him to do something that went way against what the traditional, conventional Christians would believe? I mean, our current president is doing that already.
Right.
But what if a man of faith does something that goes against what we think is right?
Well, how is it that talking to God is called prayer, but God talking to you is called crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've got several thoughts on that. One of my thoughts is I have a mentor of mine in theology who said that anytime somebody looks at you and says, God told me to tell you, or God told me this was going to happen, be careful. Don't run away. Don't automatically brand it as that's not of God, because we don't know how God speaks to each of us. God's never told me something to tell you, Chris.
Right.
Has God said things to me? He doesn't even. It's not like I wake up in the morning and God said in my dream, do this. It's not even that clear to me. Maybe it will be someday. I don't know. But God doesn't. The Holy Spirit moves within me, and I think I know what God's trying to share with me. But it's through the Holy Spirit. It's not through a human voice.
Yeah. He definitely is going to reveal. He reveals himself to us in the moment of our conversion, and he reveals himself to us in lots of different ways in our life.
Well, how many times have we said it's a God thing?
Sure.
Right. That was a God thing.
Yep.
And that's usually, right, Bob, that's kind of we see God acting most in hindsight, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to know. It's rare that God would say, do this, and then we do it. He would tell us beforehand. I was recounting a story with Ron Carlson, our traffic manager here, that probably the last time I shared the gospel with someone that was a stranger, I remember that. It was several years ago, and I was in a bookstore, and I did it. And it was one of those few moments where I really felt like I just have to do this.
Yeah.
God was really calling me, nudging me, pushing me. You need to do this. You're equipped to do it. You need to do it.
Phones are stacked. It's your voice we want to hear, 244-0077. We will talk to Jerry, right, when we come back from the break. I'm J. Michael McCoy. The question is, do we really want religious liberty in America? What do you think? We'll talk about it next, live on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
21 minutes after the hour on this 8th day of October. We thank you for listening. Let's go right to the phones where Barry is standing by. Barry, you're live on Maxworld. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Barry, what's up?
Hey, I was lost, but now I'm found.
You were lost, and now you're found. Yes, that's true.
Well, I was listening to 98.3 before, and then and all of a sudden they took away all the news and everything, and I was like, so I was lost for a day or so, and then I was driving down Des Moines and flipped over to your station today, and I've been enjoying it. It's great to have you guys on.
Well, we really appreciate you listening, and thanks for giving us a chance. You won't like every program on. We don't do 3-4 hour blocks like most talk stations. We usually do hour and half hours.
Well, that's fine.
But if you give it a shot, I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the thing you're talking about, the difference between somebody who says they're following God and does things that seem to be contrary to what he teaches. And when you're talking about the president, the different mistakes.
Yeah.
I always just thought I think that's where you identify where people are false witnesses, because God will never direct you to do anything against his word.
Yeah. Yeah, well said.
He
Barry.
will never direct you to do anything against his word. Right. I agree.
That's a good test, Barry. Yeah, I appreciate that.
If they speak not according to his word, there's no truth in them.
That's right. Yeah, that's how you tell them find the false prophets. And The other thing is nowadays when somebody comes in and says specifically, God told me to tell you this, you can say you're being prompted and led to it, but very rarely does God speak directly, and like you said, in a human voice to you to tell you to tell somebody something. You can be led to it, but when you state that statement, you are putting yourself very much under God's thumb that you had better say exactly what he said, or you're toast.
Well, and I had a mentor tell me once that that's false witness. That you are actually proclaiming a false witness, which is one of the commandments that we're not supposed to do.
Exactly.
When you say God told me, no, God didn't tell you. You had a feeling inside that you somehow tracked back to that feeling, that spirit, that emotion you feel when you feel the closest to God.
Exactly.
And Barry, I don't know, Barry, have you ever had that experience where you feel like you should do something? Is it safer then maybe to do it, or to say the thing and say, I feel like I need to tell you this, or I feel like I need to do this, as opposed to, as I say, blaming God for it and saying, God told me to do this just in case you're wrong? Is that how you might approach that?
The way you said it, that you just felt led to, or I felt moved to do this. And I've had a few times where I've had to talk to a friend about something. I need to share this with you. I was thinking about what you said the other day, and I always put it, I felt led to do this, and then put it in my words, because like you said, God didn't come down and provide it in a stone tablet and say that I'm supposed to say this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Barry, when you get these promptings from the Holy Spirit in that still small voice, how do you generally react?
Usually I pray about it for a while first and make sure that it's not my own selfish desires wanting to do this, that it's truly prompting, my conviction from God to do this. Because a lot of times we want to say that I felt led to do this, but oftentimes we're trying to get somebody to do something we want them to do.
We kind of walk the direction we want God to follow.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Barry's on the phone with us. Barry, I want to ask you a question. How long have you been a follower?
About 12 years.
Okay. So me, I'm a little over 5 years old here. I'm just a baby. But how do I put this? I had somebody to tell me the other day that God is my conscience. I don't know if I like that, and I don't know if it's biblically true. It doesn't matter whether I like it. I don't know if it's biblically true. But the thing that I realized that really kind of blew me away, and maybe you could speak into this, Barry, I realized before God came along and mugged me and said, you're mine, come this way, I don't think I had a conscience. I do not think, because there was nothing that prevented me from doing anything I wanted. Now, I never chose to abuse a child. I never chose to kill someone. I never chose to, do many of those things. But I made a lot of bad choices, and I never felt guilty about it. Never.
Well, there's difference. Like when Jesus washed their feet, that was an act of service that he was doing to them to show that he's humbling himself. But when God washes us out, he washes us from the inside out. So you're right. In a lot of ways, you can call it your conscience or whatever, but basically the difference between a person who stands on God's platform and stands on his own is because he's following under a different set of rules in this world. This world's got a whole different set of rules. And I was of the world before I became to know Christ, so you're right. Same as me, I could do all these kind of things and not feel a bit guilty about it. But as soon as I became a follower of Christ and accepted Christ inside of me, then the things that used to be very comfortable to me were very uncomfortable. And I think that's the sign that you really have, is whether you know if you really accepted Christ or not, is do I feel differently than I did before? If you have no difference in it, then you really have to wonder, did you really accept the gifts?
Barry makes a very good point, and that is that sometimes we make it too hard. How many times, Chris, do you and I walk around the station and say, keep it simple?
Yeah.
Don't make it hard. If you feel that it's wrong, it's probably wrong. If you feel that it's something that you couldn't have come up with, that's kind of brilliant, and it's kind, and it's generous, and it's loving, and it's sweet, and that's probably from the Holy Spirit. Because I don't know where I am in the middle of that. I don't want to be anywhere. I want to surrender everything to him so I don't have to make any decisions anymore. And unfortunately, that isn't the way it works.
Well,
but I sure
you.
make a lot less.
Well, and the funny thing is, and Barry probably has experienced this too, Mac, God's equipped you, Mac, and he's equipped each one of us with skills, gifts, and abilities, and he wants us to use those skills, gifts, and abilities that we've been equipped to use. So we don't just want to float around and say, I don't want to make any decisions. God's given you a mind. He's given you abilities, knowledges, experiences to make good decisions. Here we are operating a radio station, and you bring a lot of knowledge to the table on how to operate and run a growing radio station. Those things, God did that. It's God invested in you for the last many years. I won't say how many you can say, but a lot of years.
I've been in radio 41 years.
41 years he invested in you so that now he can use you specifically for his kingdom. And I think you can use those gifts in this way.
Barry,
well, I was going to chime in on that, but God's, we have to give God some credit here. If God picks you, he must have a reason, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily like he's trying to get necessarily something out of it, but you've got a gift, and every one of us is created uniquely, and we don't have the same set of gifts. But if he's bringing you on the team, you're going to carry the ball at some point. You're going to block. You're going to you may be bringing water, but there's something on that team that you're there for a reason.
Well, Barry, those gifts or talents that you just described, is God expecting a return on those?
Well, I think that just like anything else, we desire to participate. We should desire to participate, and it isn't necessarily that God gives because he wants back, but he wants you to love him, and out of your love for him, you'll want to serve.
All right, now, Barry, I just want to tell you something. I had an epiphany when you were just talking, and here's the epiphany. The old me. Okay, Chris, you said he's been preparing me all these years in all those radio stations and all those jobs I had and all the stations that I owned and ran and big deal, VP, also, so to do this. But if you would have asked the old Mac, well, we're going to give you a Christian station. What role do you want to play? Well, I'm the boss. I run it.
Right.
I own it. I manipulate it to the way I want. He prepared me to do what here? Serve.
That's right.
I don't have a job here. I'm not paid a salary. I don't own anything. I'm working at the pleasure of Jesus.
Amen.
With Chris and Mike and Stu and Gizmo. That just blows me away when I realize that. Because if you would have told, he's going to prepare you. Yeah, your ownership and your management, your big dog stuff. I don't do any of that.
He led you to be a servant.
He
How
led
cool
me to
is
be
that?
A servant.
How cool is that?
If you look at all the people in the Bible he mentioned to, very rarely, even Solomon was not rich when God called him. Solomon came rich through his gifts of wisdom, but God calls the smallest, the insignificant, the lowest, and brings them up to serve him. So he doesn't need all the worldly prestige. He wants you with a willing heart and the willingness to serve. That's what he wants.
But going back to something Jen Green said yesterday, here's a man sitting over here, J. Michael McCoy, who has the unique talent to multitask to the point of taking a phone call on his cell phone to the nth second that he went on air, but can't get his socks in the clothes hamper.
That's true. That's true. Hey, Barry, I want to thank you for calling in today. I'm always going to remember this call.
Well, hey, Chris, I remember you from the Ames Boone networking group. I met you over there before. Enjoyed sitting next to you and hearing you in the group over there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thanks for calling in, Barry. I have to get back up there, brother.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
I'm never going to forget that phone call. I'm never going to. God prepared me to serve. He didn't prepare me to lead, run, teach. He prepared me to serve. That just blows me away. All right. God is good. 515-244-0077. That's the number. Now, we have a live chat going as you tune into webcast1live.com. Anybody making any comments that are worth?
No comments. They're just kind of
Brad
absorbing
there?
what we're saying.
Brad's
absorbing.
Brad's not here.
Where's Brad today? Army Brad down in Arkansas. Dude, where are you, man? You've been a part of this forever.
Yeah, he's not on.
By the way, I got great news for you. Great news for you, Chris. Guess who's agreed to come on the radio every once in a while with me when we get the new expanded show?
Who's that?
Chris Bradshaw. One of your favorite people. You know who I'm talking about. Bradshaw. My old partner.
Yeah.
That handsome little fella that lives with in his mother's basement.
The raging atheist.
Yeah.
I want to have this intellectual conversation on the radio. Bradshaw can stay home. He's always welcome to call in anytime he wants to.
Yeah?
Mr. Bradshaw, you're welcome anytime, sir, to call on the phone.
He can't sit where you're sitting?
Well, I'm sitting here.
Well, but when you're not there.
No.
Do we really want religious liberty? Now, when I come back and we come back and you go anywhere. You just stay. We've got some good. By the way, let me just make a point. The people that we play commercials for, advertisements, promotions, these people are supporting this radio station. This is not a not-for-profit. This is not a not-for-profit. We don't ask for your tax-deductible donations of any kind, and we'll send you our CD of the month. No, this is a commercial radio station. These people are our tent makers. They come along, and they support this radio station with the hope that you'll support them. And I have no idea who's going to play next. I have no idea. But I can tell you that they've been not anybody can advertise here.
That's true.
The standards aren't real high, but there's some standards. And in most radio stations, there are no standards. If you've got cash or a check that'll cash in 24 hours, you can be on our radio station. I ran them that way for you. I don't care who you are. But there's some people that will never be on here. You'll never. You know what never means? You'll never hear Planned Parenthood on this radio station. Never. I don't care how much money they have. Never. You'll never hear somebody advertising a Budweiser. Never. There's some standards, and those are God's standards. They're not Chris's or mine or Frank's or Bob's or Ryan or Barry's. They're God's standards, and we do everything we can to uphold those. All right, when we come back, do we really want religious liberty? Chris says no. Frank says yes. Bob and I are going to sit back and watch this. This could be fun. This is like dueling banjos. Deliverance right here on the radio. Live here on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. And then at 3:03, we have a wonderful gentleman filling the gap. We have a new afternoon drive program that is going to start here in a couple weeks. But until that program gets all put together, Steve Noble, who is out of our Winston-Salem station, the head of The Truth, will do afternoon drive. And Steve's great. I honestly wish he'd continue. He's really good. I've met him. He loves my white legs. He's just a great guy. But we want to bring you something more local. And so that's what we're putting together. All right. By the way, I want to thank everybody who came to testify yesterday out at Crossroads Shooting Center. First of all, we had a ton of people. And did you see Barb Heckey's picture?
That was cool.
She had I don't know what it is. It's a machine gun. Bob, you would probably know it if you saw it.
M16,
AK-47? I don't know. It was a machine gun.
47.
AK-47?
I believe it was an AK-47.
Okay.
And so she had a picture taken of her firing on the range with this. And this is a 28-year-old mom, wife, and she's shooting this big old gun.
If you saw Barb, you'd go, you with a gun? But she's
a tough lady.
She's a tough lady. She's a gun gal.
I should say that for the normal public, it's not legal to have a machine gun.
Semi-automatic.
So it was probably a semi-automatic.
Okay.
Just in case anybody gets.
Well, and I appreciate you stepping in. I don't know anything about guns.
Same here. I was going to say I don't know anything about guns. And your friend and mine, the police officer Jason,
who
comes to testify. Was it 50 caliber or something? This thing was a cannon, and he's
Silver Hawk or something.
He's a police officer. This guy is not weak. He's very strong. 2 hands leaning forward into this thing. And it's an indoor shooting range, so we could see him. Everybody else is firing guns. You don't hear it. But he shoots that thing off. You can hear it getting coffee on the other side of the building.
And it's a handgun?
Yeah.
50 caliber handgun.
Oh, it's like if it was a cannon. Everybody was laughing in the room, and it was cool.
Well,
that is a neat place.
Is Brad on yet? Because he'll know what it is. Brad took me out shooting a few years ago, and I shot one of these. It's like a Silver Hawk, or it's just a cannon.
Yeah, it's
Desert
crazy.
Eagle.
Desert Eagle. Did Brad say that, or did you remember that?
No, I know we had.
Well, and I will say, is I'm not a gun guy, okay? And I've honestly, going to a gun range does not appeal to me. But Crossroads Shooting Range, the Crossroads Shooting Sports, that place is just cool. It's clean. It's a really classy place. I really enjoy being there. I might have to learn how to shoot a gun just because of how cool it is.
Well, and I'll tell you what about Crossroads. I challenge you. Yeah, you listening. I don't like guns. I mean, it's okay that we have Second Amendment rights, but I don't want a gun. I don't want to hear bang bang. I don't want to go to a shooting gallery. It's not tasteful to me. Me, no. I challenge you to go because you're going to think it's cool. You said something. It's clean.
It really is.
It's got a wonderful lounge with TVs, so you can sit. So while your spouse or somebody's shooting, you can just sit there, and they've got drinks, and not alcohol, but drinks and potato chips. And they also have a video room. Have you seen that yet?
I have not done it. That would be cool.
My grandson and I did that, and it's the same training tapes that police go through. So somebody jumps out from behind something, and you shoot them. Guess what they are? They're the good guy.
Oh, no, I see.
So it keeps track of that. It's really cool. It's not like a video game you watch on your PX3 Omen or whatever those things.
Well, let me give you a little tip about guns.
Cool. We should have said, let's talk to the expert, Frank.
Well, no. Let's talk about the sheriffs and the police departments in the country. When they come out and suggest to the citizens that you buy a gun and arm yourself because there's not enough police to protect the citizens, that would be a tip that you might want to own a gun.
Yeah.
Has that been happening around
Yes,
these parts?
Absolutely.
That's been happening,
Yes.
particularly in Detroit. Some other places, Oklahoma, different places in the country, the sheriff's department's suggesting you own a gun because they can't respond.
And you know where they get that? And maybe it probably goes back a lot older than I am, but Joe Arpaio, did I say that name right?
Arpaio?
Yeah, the sheriff down in along the border. He's always said that. He said, you got to arm yourself because there's not enough of me. I don't have a budget enough to hire all the policemen it takes to thoroughly protect you. So get a gun. No, just for what it's worth. All right. 515-244-0077. Here's the question that I'd like you to speak up on, like Barry did. By the way, as soon as we will have a line open here in just a second. 244-0077. 515. Do we really want religious liberty? Frank, you say yes. Okay, tell me why. You don't get to just say yes. You have to back it up with some. You're not a low information voter, are you?
Well, because we don't want things such as our religious freedom left up to the decisions of the majority or the minority or whoever. We should worship God as we see fit.
We worship God as we see fit.
We should be able to worship God as we see fit.
Well, let me interject there. I think just to give some broader scope to the discussion a little bit. No one, I think, is denying your freedom to worship inside a building, inside a church. I don't think anybody in the United States is trying to shut that down. When we talk about religious freedom and religious liberty, I think what we're really talking about is the expression of our faith, what we believe in the public arena, in the public square, whether it's how we run our businesses, how we do school, how we educate our kids, whatever it might be. The ability for our faith to extend beyond the four walls of our church, our temple, or whatever as we worship, but actually to be acted out in the public square. The freedom to do that however we see fit.
Oh, we should be able
That's what we're talking about.
We should be able to practice what we preach. If we're up preaching forgiveness, and we ought to be able to go out and forgive and express forgiveness to others. So I don't see how you separate the two and make them exclusive from one another.
Well, I don't think we do. But we're in agreement, Frank. But I'm just saying I'm not talking about. When I want to talk about religious liberty, I don't want to talk about being able to worship inside four walls. And here's why. Mac is saying that I say no to having religious liberty, which is not completely true. I run a Christian radio station. I think I kind of want religious liberty to continue because I like what I do. But what I'm saying is, do we know what we're asking for when we fight as a people to give all citizens of the United States religious liberty and the ability to express their faith however they see fit? Are we not working hard to open the doors for our Muslim friends and neighbors who are growing in population and growing in numbers and have growing communities where they have got growing businesses and those things? They would like to practice Sharia law the way that they want to practice it, living amongst us, not necessarily to the extreme where they're going and hunting down Christians and Jews and things, or other faiths, but they would like to practice their faith outside of their temples. And as Christians, we're fighting to defend religious liberty, religious freedom. Are we sure we want that too?
Well, our Constitution isn't based on Sharia, but let me ask you kind of a return question. Being someone that's in radio and intimately involved with radio, you're probably aware of what they call the fairness doctrine.
Sure.
Okay, let's say somehow somebody wanted to put the kibosh on this radio station,
right?
Because they felt like, well, their side of the view isn't getting told enough. Or what if, Max said a little bit ago, we will never have a Planned Parenthood commercial. What if Planned Parenthood insisted on having some sort of a radio spot using some component of the fairness doctrine to get it on air?
Right.
So I'd love to fight that.
That's where I'm getting into the realm of religious freedom that I go along with Martin Luther. We have to allow our conscience the ability to worship God as our conscience dictates us to worship.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But do we understand that as we defend that right in the United States for Christians, And I think we should stand up and defend the right of Christians to worship publicly, privately, and express their faith in all areas. I'm not against religious liberty at all. I'm in favor of religious liberty. But what I'm saying is, as we fight for religious liberty, religious freedom, as we continue to defend that as a people, are we prepared for what that could bring for us in the future? Are we prepared for other religious groups that right now might be the minority, may one day be of a sizable amount that we need to allow them to do what they want?
Probably not.
The back and forth.
Probably not, but we need to.
The back and forth goes back and forth. The question, I want to hear your voice. Do you really want religious freedom in America?
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 10 minutes for the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network news. Then our we're between afternoon drive programs. We have Steve Noble, who is phenomenal, but he's not local. And we have a new local show coming. It's going to be called Frankly Speaking. And right, Frank can host the 2-hour. No. Okay. How about Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat Speaks?
That sounds like Marcia Speaks, that PBS show.
Yeah, there you go. But we do have a new afternoon drive. If you're new to Find the Radio, if you just went to 98.3 and you realize Dr. Savage isn't on there, and there's music, and then you push scan, you ended up here, and you heard my voice, and you thought deja vu. That's Mac. He used to be on that. I loved listening to Mac, or I hated listening to Mac, but I listened to him anyway. Well, we're here. We're brand new. We've been on the air since July. It's called 99.3 The Truth. We are a preaching, teaching, and conservative talk radio show, and our phone lines are always open, and it's your voice I always want to hear. 515-244-0077. Do we really want religious liberty? And you say no, because you don't want the majority to become a religion that hurts Christians.
Well, let me. It's easy to say that I'm saying no. I don't actually say no. What I believe is, I want religious liberty and I want religious freedom in the United States. It's a huge part of why our country exists. It's the fabric of America. Religious liberty is a fabric of our country. I'm a Christian. I'm in religious broadcasting. I want to continue to have the freedom and right to do the things that I do. My point, though, is, are we aware that as we fight for religious freedom, for religious liberty in this country, that America is different today than it was when we were founded. And there are religions in this country today that did not exist in our founding. So, Frank, you and I were talking about this in the break. Frank is a Seventh-day Adventist. His faith, his church heritage is a part of the fabric of America. It exists because of the religious freedom in America.
Bob looked this up for me, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church strongly believes in religious freedom for all people. A person's conscience, not government, should dictate his or her choice to worship or not.
Right. And your faith tradition grew out of the religious liberty and freedom in America. You guys were accepted. You continue to be, and that's good, but Seventh-day Adventists are Christians. These are all variations, so to speak, or there are things that differentiate us as Christians, but we're all essentially a Christian faith. What we're looking at now in America, I was just recently in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, we've got a large growing Muslim population in the United States. Right. We didn't have that a couple hundred years ago, and now as we fight for religious freedom, are we aware that we're also fighting for Muslims to have the right to express their faith however they see fit?
I would answer the question by comparing it exactly to the opposite, or to the other thing that we should have in common, and that's free speech. And we have to protect speech that we don't like. We have to protect speech that's not always great speech.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't. This is my point is simply this: as the Christians, and I'm one of them, that stands up for religious liberty, are we aware that we are defending and standing up for the right of Muslims to express their faith however they see fit in America? And if we are for that, the real follow-up question then is, how is the church preparing itself for what that's going to look like in the future?
Well, this is something that even Dr. Ben Carson was criticized, because the question came up about, would you vote for a Muslim for president?
Right.
And he said if their beliefs were not consistent with the Constitution, he wouldn't do that.
Which they aren't.
Right, because he was specifically talking about Sharia law.
Right.
Now, let me tell you what Bill says on Facebook. He says, freedom of Christianity is what the First Amendment should say. God didn't want us to be around pagans and such other religions. Communism oppresses Christianity, and we have those kind of people in America who wish to destroy God and his word.
I appreciate Bill's comment very much. I would say, though, to add to Bill, that God's people historically have always been called to be a light in a dark place. The people of God, Israel, were in fact light in pagan nations. Christians are called to be a light in a pagan nation. So we are to live alongside non-believers, believers of other faiths. We are called to live that way, and we should live in such a way that they see something other than what they experience. They should see Yahweh. They should see Jesus lived out through us. And that's what we're called to do. We don't just get to stand up and say America is a Christian nation. America is a religiously free nation birthed from a Christian nation. And so the religious freedom that we had in the founding of America was a Christian freedom, because there were no Muslims when we founded the country. But that doesn't mean that America is a Christian nation.
There was no Muslims?
No, there were Muslims. I'm saying that Muslims were not a part of the founding of America.
Right.
There were Muslims existed at the time when America was founded. My point is that when America was founded, it was founded by Christians who wanted all variations of Christianity to be welcome here. Catholics and Protestants, as a perfect example, living together alongside them. People who had
cats and dogs. Oh my!
Right. People having new faiths. People who believed new things were being tolerated. We remember the Salem witch trials, and we know that in our America's history, other faiths were not always tolerated in America. But we worked through those things. We learned through those things. We grew, and we continue to have religious liberty and religious freedom. And I think we should keep in that direction. My point is simply to remind all of us that are fighting for religious liberty to remember that there is a whole nother religion in our country that wasn't here, and we need to be ready for them to be larger than they are today. And that's just gonna happen. I don't want to say that I want it to happen. I'm saying I just think it's gonna happen. And I'm not a prophet nor the son of a prophet, but that's just what it seems like to me.
Well, and we could stop it if we had if we really, really, really believed what God taught in the Bible, we would stop it.
I think revival is the answer. I think the church waking up. I think the church acknowledging Jesus as Lord, a revival in our hearts. And I say this with all sincerity. January 5th, 2016, Franklin Graham will be in Des Moines on the state capitol praying for revival in our country. And he's going to go to every 50 state and all 50 states. And we should be praying for that too.
Iowa is the first state that he's going.
Iowa is the very first state he's going.
All right, Frank, I still have a few seconds. Do you want to say something?
Just that Christ commanded us that we could render unto Caesar that which belonged to Caesar. So we can pledge allegiance to government until government starts stepping on our personal religious freedom.
Yeah, Romans clearly says that. You're supposed to follow your leaders unless your leaders aren't following God. Bob?
No, I mean,
you're good?
I'm good.
Ryan, thanks for producing. Chris, thanks for being here. Frank? Yes, thank you for being here. Bob Montserrat, thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. My mentor, my pastor, Richard, will be here tomorrow, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Until then, remember, as I always tell you, please forgive, because as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. Go Cubs. I'll see you at church.